Alma and welcome to my book journey, and I am here to talk about all the books that I'm planning hopefully to read this coming month in May. And I have quite a few on my cart right here of all the books that kind of go with like my yearly reading challenges, and then also some fun read-alongs that I really want to participate in this coming month. But first, I just wanted to do a little Nana brag time. My granddaughter Aaliyah was in a parade yesterday. It's in the Pegasus Parade, and she was part of her group Mexico Lindo. And this is a group that it's so wonderful to see, because when I was a child, I kind of was in a similar group when I was real little. So it's been many years, but it's so awesome to see her participate in this kind of dance group, and they do traditional Mexican folklore dancing, and she just looked beautiful. And I have a picture up here showing her, and she just did a wonderful job. She just recently started doing this, and so I'm excited to see her as she grows and really learns more of these wonderful traditions and dances. So that was just my little time to brag on my granddaughter. So let's get started with my TBR. And like I said, I have quite a bit of books here. But I really want to take some time, so I hope, so if you have something to drink or some tea or coffee or something, kind of sit back and just relax and just have some fun time with me as we go through these books. Some of these I got through a recent, because last month, this month, we're not done yet, was my birthday, and so I have 1, 2, 3 of my birthday books, and I did talk about those a little bit in my birthday tag video, and I'll link that below if you missed that. But anyway, so to start with, we have I have anyway. I am participating in 4. Is it 4 or 5? I had to stop and think. I'm doing some reading challenges, yearly reading challenges, and the first one that I'm doing that I'll talk about is Chantel Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. And so last month in April, or this month, because we're still in April, okay. Anyway, so in April, she had us at, because in her book challenge, reading challenge, there's 2 tiers, let me make sure I get it right, Montgomery side and a Doyle side. And I've been going down the Doyle side. And so in April, both groups did the same thing. And then in May, she gives us the opportunity we can switch it up now. Since we were both the same, we have the opportunity to either, switch or continue on. So for May, I'm gonna keep going, kind of was going back and forth, but I decided to go ahead and stick with the Doyle side, and that is A Study in Scarlet, and it is to read a book by a new to you author. And so for that challenge, I'm actually going to read a book that Chantel has recommended on her channel before, and it is called Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Grodin. And this is a alternate history book tale set around World War II. And it also has an element of fantasy in it as well. And this is one of the books that I got from for my birthday. And so I was really excited when I got this book, because ever since Chantel has talked about it, I've been wanting to check it out. And so this is the story of a young girl that is she finds herself in a situation where she possibly has the chance to take out Hitler and stop him from, everything that he's been doing. So that is the book that I'm going to be reading for Chantel's challenge. And then this is also going to come in later on in this video, because I'm going to use this for another prompt as well. Then the next reading challenge is Katie's Paperback and Ponytails, her Read Around the World challenge. And her prompt for April is to read a book set in a place where you've actually lived. And so I was going back and forth. My husband and I have lived in several places because he was in the military. But so I would try to pick out which book I wanted to or which state I wanted to pick. I ended up doing state rather than city. And so I chose the state of Utah because we lived there for several years. And then I have two books here. Two books that I'm going back and forth. So I'm going to talk about both of these. So the first one is a nonfiction book. It's called Under the Banner of Heaven, a story of violent faith by John Krakauer. And I've had this book for a while. It was sitting on my shelf. And then I saw Cheryl with Candlewick Library she actually has two videos up, book discussions videos that she did on this. And then when I saw that book, that prompted me to remember, oh, I have that book, and that's set in Utah. That would fit this prompt. So I thought, well, heck, that would be great if I read that in May, and then I could participate in those videos or watch those videos that she has done and, you know, participate in that discussion. So that's an option. And this is a story that took place in 1984 regarding a murder. And I know since the book was written, they've made a movie about it, I believe. I've never seen it, but I know I believe there's a movie. So this is a nonfiction book set in the state of Utah, Salt Lake City, which is kind of near where I actually lived. So there's that choice. And then the other choice is, as I was like going on Goodreads to try to find a book set in Utah, I found this book, and it's a historical fiction, and it's called True Sisters by Sandra Dallas. And this is in the time frame of 1856 with some Mormon converts, these sisters, this family, and they're going across the country to Salt Lake City, and I think they leave Iowa City, right? And they're part of the Martin Handcart Company. And now when I lived in Utah, I heard a lot about these particular pioneers. In fact, they have a holiday that they celebrate in July, called Pioneer Day, where they celebrate and they talk about these pioneers that they went through a lot of hardships when they were leaving their homes back east to come out to Utah. And so this story would be really interesting. Again, it's a historical fiction. And this, when I went into the library and I looked it up, I noticed that this author, Sandra Dallas, had quite a few different, I was looking through the stacks and it's like, oh, that looks interesting, that looks interesting. So let me know if you've read any of her books. I've never heard of this author, she's a new to me author, but let me know if you've read any of these historical fictions that she's done. And like I said, I saw quite a few, and just different things, time periods as well. So I'd be really curious to know if she's somebody that I need to you know, check out and read. So that's why I'm kind of going back and forth between, because they both sound really good. So there's that option. And then the next reading challenge is Jane Read's, her Christian fiction challenge. And her prompt for May is choose a book that has a one-word title. And so for that I'll put the picture up here, because my book, it's an interlibrary loan, and it has this thing, I don't want to take it off, but it's called Calor, and this is about, it's a Christian fantasy book, and I've heard a lot of great things from different people on BookTube regarding this book, and it has to do with memories and people doing things, or maybe reading memories or taking people's memories. Sounds really intriguing. And so they didn't have it at my library, and I requested it, and it came through, and I'm like, cool, I can, you know, it has one word title, and I'll go ahead and do this one. So that is what I'm going to do for Jane Read's, her challenge. And then let's see which one's next. Oh, Sheena's challenge is her romance challenge. And for that prompt, I'm going to pick the prompt of I believe I'm going to do historical. And that's prompt number 11 for her. But it is, for that one, I'm going to do Gabriel Meyer's Timeless, the latest Timeless book. And that comes out May 7th, I believe. And I pre-ordered that, so I can't wait till that comes in the mail. So So that is going to, and that's going to also cover another prompt as well later on. But that is book 3 in her series that deals with women that live 2 alternate lives in 2 different time periods. And I believe this next book is a woman like during like the Salem witch trials period, and then the other period, oh, I can't remember now what that one is. I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, I know I'm gonna love it because I've loved every single of the other 2 books that from her. And then of course, she's got another one coming out in November, which is, that one looks even better with the different time periods. But anyway, so that's Oshina's. And then the last reading challenge is from Angie, Book Mama. And her prompt for May is read a favorite author. And for that one, I'm also gonna do timeless. So I'm gonna double up on those. Okay, so those are all my reading challenges that I'm gonna be doing for, that's the reading challenges that I'm doing. And I actually have been doing, I've been doing really great on those challenges. I've been keeping up with all of them and having a good time. So in May, I am going to add 2 more. They're not yearly challenges, but they are a new thing, not new things, but one of them is new. And one of them is by Tiffany with Beautiful Minutia is going to do a mist along, and I'll put the pictures up here, and I'll also link her video below of her announcement. And this, when I saw it, I got so excited because I have been wanting to actually finish this book. I started in January. You can see I didn't get very far. I think I got kind of overwhelmed with everything that was happening in the book. I have read a Brandon Sanderson book. I read one last year, Trust of the Emerald Sea, but it's different. It's nothing like his other stuff. So I was getting kind of overwhelmed and that kind of thing. And so I set it down and started reading other things. But when I saw that she was doing this read along with others, I thought this would be the perfect time for me to do it, because then I can read it with other people and then, ask questions, because she's going to have a Discord as well, that way we can talk about the book as we read it. So I thought this would be perfect. If I have questions, I can ask people and get some help. And so this is the first book, and she did mention it on her video that the book is not, the series is the Mistborn series, but this actual book is, the first one is called, and I have to look at it, it's called the Final Empire. It's strange it's not even on the cover. But anyway, so in May we're reading the first one, in June we're reading book 2, and then July we're reading book 3. I have all 3, so I'm hoping to keep up with everybody and to knock these out this summer. So that's what I'm striving for. So thank you, Tiffany, for starting that. And let me know below if you haven't read these, or you have these and they're sitting on your shelf like me, and this would be a perfect time to join in and read along with everybody else. Okay, so there's that one, the other one. And then Krista from Books and Jams has a Christian read along this year, and it's not every month. I think it might be every other month that she does a book, but for May she's chosen The Hiding Place, the Corrie ten Boom story, and this is also a nonfiction book. And so we're going to read this together in her group, and then she will also have a live, I believe. She's had them for the other books, and I'll link her announcement video that shows all her books. She's already given us all the books for the year. And then, so this is the one we're going to do in May. And I've never read this book. So this is a book that talks about a woman going through World War II, and she is a Christian woman that hides Jewish people to keep them safe from the Nazis. And so this is going to be a really heart-wrenching book, I imagine. So there's that one. And then, so those are the two other not challenges, like read-alongs that I'm doing this month, aside from the other reading challenges. But then, of course, we have Amanda's Southern Comfort Readathon this May. And I have a video, because she did this last year. I have a video of all the books that I read for her readathon last year. And last year as I was, doing the video, I was like, wow, I did all the prompts. Kudos for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that this time, because I've added, so many other things. But I'll link that video below, because it's, those are recommendations for you all if you haven't picked out something, that you can watch that video and see what I read, because last year and this year are the same prompts. So, okay, so and I've got my cute little, with my little Southern style in my book journal to write hopefully fill this up with books that I read. But I'm just gonna go over, I do have books for each prompt and as like possibilities for me to read this year. So the first prompt that she gave us is the Bless Your Heart, to read an emotional, heartwarming book. And so for that prompt, I'm gonna read the book This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. And this book I talked about in another video, where I had read the first chapter of several time travel books. And this was my favorite. And this is a book that revolves around a woman that is dealing with her father's illness. He's in the hospital. It sounds like, when I read the first chapter, it sounds like he is terminal and he doesn't have much time left. But in the course of this book, somehow, I don't know how, but somehow she's going to wind up in the past, and she's going to be able to see her father while she's a teenager. And then, just the sound of that is heartwarming, because here her father's elderly, and now she can see him, and she still has all her memories and stuff from as an adult to talk to her dad again. So that is going to be my heartwarming story for the Bless Your Heart prompt. And then the next prompt that she gives us is The Sweet Tea, a book with something sweet on the cover, or a sweet story. And so this one, I do have two options as well. I go back and forth. So the first one is, I actually read the first book in this series last year for this prompt. So when I was at the library, I thought, hey, what if, I just continue on with the series. This one's called Sweet Tea Sunrise, and is by Rachel Hannah. And this is the story of two sisters that run a bed and breakfast. And the last book, they kind of got to know each other, because they didn't know they existed, these sisters. So I'm curious to see how the last book did leave with a kind of a cliffhanger, so I'm curious about that. And it's a short book. It's pretty short. So I feel like I can just add it on to this TBR. So there's that one. But as far as Sweet Story, this is a book that I recently picked up, and it's by Erin Mangum. I don't know. And this is a book one in a 3-book series, and this one's called Page Torn. And this is the story of Paige Adler, and kind of like a little sweet romance. And I just love this cover, and it's just a sweet cover. And so this is another possibility for that prompt. Okay, next prompt is Hot as Blue Blazes, hot setting in a book. I read Carolyn Cossett's first series, the Out of Egypt series, and there was 3 books counted with the stars. I'm sorry, I'm reading. They're sitting over there on my shelf, so I'm reading. And so I have a visitor going across my living room. He's being very quiet, but he's still there. Anyway, so this book is the first book in the Cities of Refuge, Light on the Hill. And this is set in a hot setting, because we're in Israel, we're in Jericho. And I have heard that she has characters come into play that were in those first 3 books that I've already read. So, and isn't this, she has the most gorgeous covers. So let me know if you've read this Cities of Refuge series from Connellan Cassette. Just beautiful. So that's my book for the Hottest Blue Blazes. Then we have Heavens to Betsy, a mystery or thriller. And for that one, I'm going to use The Wolf by Wolf because it's like a thriller story. So I'm going to use that prompt, use that book for that prompt. And then we have our, Amanda gives us a free space. And so this is the second book from my birthday haul that I got. My daughter got me this. This is called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and this is by V.E. Schwab. And this is a fantasy book about a woman it's set in France, 1714, I believe. But I think it goes through time as well. But if I remember right, something happens to her where people, like, they would meet her, but then they would forget who she is right away. So I think that's what this book's about. So my daughter's read this. She really liked it, so I want to try to get this read. That way we can talk about it. So that's going to count as my free space. And then a book with multiple genres is All the Fixings is the next prompt. And for that one, I'm going to use the Timeless book because it's historical fiction, it's romance, and it's time travel. So it's 3 genres, so that fits that one. And last year, I think I read the first book for that prompt. And then we have Chicken and Dumplings, and I think that's the comfort read. Yeah, a comfort read. And that is this book. I've been wanting to read this for a while. I've heard about it from a lot of people. It's called Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce. And this is set in World War II. And this is about, it says, an irresistible debut set in London during World War II about an aspiring journalist who becomes a secret advice columnist, like Dear Abby kind of thing. So this book sounds really good. Like I said, I've heard great things about it. And so this is going to be my comfort read because for me, historical fiction has always been like a comfort read to me, those kind of books. So there's that one. And then Hey Y'all, a book with multiple points of view, is my 3rd birthday book, and that is Recorder by Kathy McCrumb. And Taylor from Tales and Treats with Tay, she said that this book would count for this prompt with the multiple points of view. And this is one book that's been on my I've been on my wish list for a long time. So I was super excited when I got it for my birthday. So this is a Christian sci-fi book. And I don't know too much about it. I didn't want to know too much about it. I kind of want to go in kind of blind to what it's about. I just know that everybody that has read it on BookTube, they just rave about it. So I have I have high expectations for this hyped book. So this is going to count for that. And then the final prompt that she gave us is Howdy Partner, a book about friendship or family. And I had another book that I was going to originally do, but then I watched Carmen's, her TBR, May TBR, and I'll link hers below. She has a really good May TBR, and she talks about a book that she's going to do. And it reminded me of books that I had purchased a long time ago, and I just hadn't gotten to read it. And this is Gilbert Morris, The Honorable Imposter, and it's book 1 in the House of Winslow series. And I actually heard about this from her from one of her previous videos, and she was raving about how great this is as far as historical fiction and faith. And she really enjoyed the whole series. And the book that she was actually talking about in her TBR was, I guess it's like a prequel kind of to this book. So this follows the story of the Winslow family and them in the United States. And so it's like early American history. So this book is set in them coming over like on the Mayflower. and then the books go on and on. And so I have the first 3 books, and I picked these up because we were in our homeschool, we were going to be doing early American history this year, and so I thought I'd pick these up to, you know, read historical fiction going along with what we were studying, and then I forgot about them sitting, you know, down on my shelf, and, you know, I haven't picked them up. So I'm glad Carmen reminded me about these books, and then so I added this to the TBR. Okay, so that is it for the Southern Charm Readathon prompts. But of course, I always have extra books that I want to try to read. So when I was doing that time travel video and I went to the library, I found, when I went to return the books, actually, after I had read the ones that I didn't like, and then I just returned them, I went up to the kids section with my daughter, and they had, like, they've been having a lot of new books up there. And this book caught my eye, and so it's a middle grade book. It's called The Sky Over Rebecca. And I don't know if you can see what, you know, we have planes in the air and little children, and they're kind of invisible, and then we got this girl. So I started reading what the synopsis was, what it's about, the premise, and I thought, oh wow, that's fascinating. So I'll just read it to you because I thought it was really interesting. So it says, two worlds collide in a story written in the stars. It says, when mysterious footprints appear in the Stockholm snow, Kara attempts to discover where they've come from and who they belong to. They lead her to Rebecca, a 13-year-old Jewish girl, and her younger brother Samuel. Before long, Kara realizes Rebecca and Samuel are refugees from another era, World War II, trying to find their way to safety. Her new friends are trapped in a dangerous loop, and it's up to Kara to help them break free. So I think she's in they're like in different times, is what I'm thinking. Like they're in a loop in time or something. Yeah, because it says a friendship across time. And that sounds fascinating. So I picked this up, and like I said, it's a middle grade book, so I should be able to read that. And this could count for the friendship prompt. For sure, it could count for that prompt as well. So if, you know, anybody's interested. So that one sounded really cute. And then finally, you know, I'm not done yet. It's like I always, you know, I like to give myself a lot of possibilities for the book for the month, you know, with all the different books. So the last thing is my jar that I pick, and right now I'm finishing the book that I picked last month, and it's awesome. It's great. Can't wait to tell you about it in my wrap-up video. Okay, so these are all the books that I put in here, are books that I picked up last year that I just never got around to reading, but that I really, you know, wanted to. So let's see what I get this time. Let's get this one. And I don't know if any of these are in this jar. I don't think so. Oh! Oh wow. Where's that at? Oh, it's right there. Look what I picked out. Pride and Prejudice. Now, if you have been watching my channel, you know that this was actually in my TBR last month. Well, I didn't get around to it. So guess what? It's been pulled by the jar, you know. So, you know, I just read. It's just one of those books that you just, at least for me, I haven't gravitated toward. I mean, I want to read it, but yet there's other things that, you know, get ahead of it. So this is the book for you know, and it's a good challenge for me because I really want to read these books. When I pull it, I want to make sure that I read it this month. And it's not a long book. So that's good that I picked this one up. And this one would also count for many of these prompts too, if I don't, you know, get around to reading these others, or just depending on how the month goes. So, but I definitely want to read this book because I pulled it from my little jar. And so, which is a good thing because I do want to read it. It's funny, one of the reasons I want to read it is because there's so many books out there that are like Pride and Prejudice retellings, or books based on, and it's like and those sound interesting, but I was like, I can't read those until I read this one because I want to know the story, and I don't just want to watch the movie, which I haven't done either because I want to wait to read the book. Okay, so there's that. So that is it. That is all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 books, but obviously I'm not going to read all 14 in the month of May. Because some of them were like, you know, I could read this one or I can read this one. And a lot of them I'll be able to double up on prompts if I need to. So that's always an option. But that is what I have so far. And every once in a while in the month, you know, when I go to the library or something, I see something that catches my eye, those always come into play as well. But anyway, this is what I have so far planned to read in May. Let me know below if you're doing any of these challenges, what you're reading for, especially for like the yearly challenges, what were your picks? And if you're doing Amanda's readathon, if you're doing Krista's Christian one, with the hiding place, or if you're gonna do Tiffany's beautiful minutia, her mist along, if you're joining us on that one. Or let me know if you've read any of these books. Please let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you think, hey, make sure you read that. Don't set that aside. Make that a priority. Make sure you read that. So I would love to hear from you all, and what you plan on reading this month as well. Thank you for joining me on this. I tried to keep it as short as possible, but I really wanted to go into kind of detail about the different books that I chose, and the people, these great booktubers that, you know, inspire us and give us such great recommendations of books to read. Wanted to make sure I got their names out as well. But thank you for joining me today. You all have a blessed day as we finish off this month. It's crazy. We're already going to be into the summer months. It's amazing. You all have a blessed day, and come back soon, and make sure you like and subscribe. Bye-bye.